Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Ask Bill Keegan Show. I'm your host for today, Bill Keegan, Town Manager here in Foxborough. My guest today is Paul Gromer. He is the CEO of the Peregrine Group, Peregrine Energy Group, and the topic for today is municipal aggregation. And this past town meeting, annual town meeting, the town of Foxborough approved the town going forward on a municipal aggregation program. And so the reason you're here today, Paul, is to sort of help explain this to the community. And I really appreciate you being here today, and so thanks for being here. So tell the public and tell us collectively, what is municipal aggregation?
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, you bet. So municipal aggregation is a form of group purchasing where a city or town like Foxborough arranges an electricity supply on behalf of the residents and small businesses in the town. It's a little bit like Costco for electricity.
Okay. So tell us, what is this is about electricity supply, of course.
Right.
So what do you mean by electricity supply?
So that's a good and an important question. So electric service has two pieces to it. There's the electricity itself, which is called electricity supply, and then there's the delivery of that supply over the wires. And if you look at your electric bill, you'll see there are those two pieces on the bill, delivery and supply. And roughly speaking, the cost is about half for one and half for the other. And when it comes to the delivery part, there's no choice. The local utility does that no matter what. So for Foxborough, that's National Grid. But when you get to the supply part, there is a choice. And residents can choose a supplier on their own. A lot of businesses do that, not many residents. They can let the utility choose a supplier for them, and that's called basic service. Or they can let the town choose the supplier, or the town can do it, and that's called municipal aggregation. And that's what Foxborough is doing.
Great. So how many other communities are doing this?
Well, quite a few, about 75 altogether that are active right now. The cities and towns or the towns really on Cape Cod have been doing this for 10 years or more. Quite a few others have joined over the last couple of years, and there are many others that are in the development phase the way Foxborough is. So we have about 75 today, and I'm sure we'll have more than 100 communities by this time next year.
Now, I noticed that this program has sort of taken off in just the last few years. Any particular reason for that?
I think the main reason is that basic service prices have become so volatile, so much they've really been spiking in the winter months and then dropping back down in the summer. And that's created some disruption for folks, and so they've asked their communities, is there anything you can do to help us here to at least get rid of the volatility that we're seeing in those prices?
So what are the benefits of a municipal aggregation program?
Yep. So there are really four main benefits to look for, and one is what we were just talking about, which is price stability. Okay. While the utility price, basic service, is going way up in the winter, back down in the summer, most aggregations look to have a price that's stable 12 months of the year, so it protects customers from those big swings. That's one thing, stability. The next thing is savings. The aggregation program will look to get a price for the electric supply that's lower on average than the utility basic service price over the course of the year, so create some savings for the residents. The third thing is choices, and in particular a green choice. The program can have a green option so that customers who want a more environmental friendly supply of electricity can choose that. And then the final thing is consumer protection or transparency. There are a lot of competitive supply offers out there. Some of them are good deals. Some of them, or a lot of them really, are too good to be true. You know, they'll have hidden fees in them, or they'll have a teaser rate, so at a really low rate to get you signed up, but then the rate goes way up and you're locked in and you can't get out. With the town program, there's none of that. No hidden fees, very transparent pricing. Customers can leave the program at any time. So it'll be a good, fair deal for customers so that they'll have that option in the marketplace, something that's been put together with them in mind.
So yeah, I firmly believe that a lot of people don't even know that you can actually do this, and so I think those towns that have moved forward in the program have sort of seen this as a real benefit for their residents to help save some money and to provide some stability, price stability, as you pointed out earlier. So when will the program actually start?
Well, it'll look like we're targeting starting the program about this winter. So we're still early stages in the process. The town has chosen to go forward with this at town meeting. It's developed an aggregation plan, but now we're going into a regulatory review phase where the state regulators will look at the program, make sure everything's okay. That takes several months, and then the town needs to choose its electricity supplier. That takes another month or a couple months. So realistically, we're looking at getting things rolling in the winter.
So how do residents become part of the program?
So that's great. So then this is one of the most interesting things about aggregation, which is that by state law, aggregation is an opt-out program, which means that all eligible customers on basic service now, automatically become part of it unless they choose to opt out. If you're on competitive supply, you can join the program, but you'd have to opt in. But if you're on basic service, you become part of the program automatically. That's a little unusual, but that's just the way it's set up under state law.
So if someone does not want to participate, how do they opt out?
Yeah, so there'll be lots of ways that they can do that. Most importantly, before the program begins, about 30 days before, every eligible customer will get a letter in the mail from the town that explains the program, how it works, what the benefits are, how to participate, which is you don't have to do anything to participate, but importantly, how to opt out. And there'll be several different options for opting out. There'll be the letter will come with a card that the customer can fill out and send back in the mail. There'll be an 800 number they can call, and there'll be a website they can go to, and they can opt out through any of those vehicles. And they can opt out during those 30 days. If they opt out during that 30-day period, they're never part of the program at all, so they've opted out before it started. But say you don't do that, say you become part of the program, but then you decide you want to leave later, customers can do that at any time. The website will be there, the 800 number will be there, they can opt out whenever they want, and there's never any charge for opting out.
So what if somebody wants to opt back in at some point?
They can do that too, so they can come back into the program. If they leave the program, want to come back, they're able to do that as well.
Okay. So will residents get two electric bills, one from National Grid and one from the aggregation supplier?
No, and that's one of the good things, and that's a question a lot of people ask, because you're already getting enough bills, right? You don't need another one.
Another one to the mix.
Exactly, so it's just going to be one bill from National Grid, just like today. You'll pay the bill the same way, and it'll look largely the same. The bill will just change, and it'll be just one bill, and it'll change in just two ways. One is that there's a line on the bill that says who the electric supplier is. Right now that says basic service, and in the future it will have the name of the supplier chosen by the program. And then the other change is that hopefully the price will go down a little bit, but otherwise the billing and payment remains the same.
I've actually had this experience personally where I actually opted for another company for my supplier, and the bill looks exactly the same. There's no change in it whatsoever, except for the fact that it has the different line for where, if you look on the back of the bill, it says your supplier is, and it just indicates that and what the rate is. So what about customers on budget billing or low income rate? Do they keep those benefits?
They do. That's an important part of the program too. So budget billing, low income discounts, those all stay in place just the same as they are today.
Great. And how about customers with solar panels? What happens to them?
Yeah, so that's another good question, and that stays the same as well. So customers with solar get something called net metering through the utility, where they can, in effect, run their meter backwards when their solar system's producing a lot. That program stays in place, runs just the same way as it does today. So those customers won't be affected in any way by the aggregation.
Right. So if the power goes out, who do they call?
National Grid, just like always.
Okay.
So that stays the same as well, and National Grid will take care of them.
So I think the important thing for residents to remember is that if your power goes down, your lines get affected, you're in the middle of a major storm, you're still going to call National Grid for that because they maintain the lines.
Right.
All we're really adjusting here is the amount of energy going through those lines, or the company that provides energy through the lines, and who bills that.
That's right.
So that's the only real significant change. So will customers get a lower quality of service from National Grid because of that?
No, and so that's something that sometimes people are worried about, but they'll get the same level of service they always have from National Grid. So interestingly, National Grid, even when they're providing basic service, doesn't make any money on that. That's just a pass-through cost for them. They buy power at the wholesale market and they pass it through to customers at cost. They make all their money on the delivery part of the bill, taking care of the wires, restoring power when there's an outage, billing, that sort of thing. And they continue to do that, and so they're not affected by the aggregation in any way. And in fact, they've been quite supportive of towns that are trying to do this, and so customers will get the same level of service they always have.
So is it fair to say that power is just really a commodity at this point? How it's being traded as a commodity?
Yes, exactly right.
Okay, so in short, all we're doing is getting the best possible price we can for our residents without causing concern or confusion, I guess, for the customers who are located here in the community. It doesn't change the ability of residents to make their own choices if they so choose. So if you really don't want to participate, and you think you can do a better job on your own, have at it. We're not gonna stop you from doing that. And this is really, I think, to help address those folks that really don't want to be involved in that aspect of it, and don't want to be at the mercy of larger, more significant normal rates that could go through those lines that could be very expensive. So this is effectively, we're providing our residents a price break, if you will, for their power costs.
That's exactly right. The main impact residents will see is that the cost will be a little bit lower. As you say, delivery stays the same. National Grid will still treat them the same way as always. And for customers who don't want to participate, it's easy to get out of the program at any time.
So tell me, if you will, if there were any downsides of doing this. What are the potential downsides?
Well, that's a tough question. So there's always the opportunity that a customer could get a better deal somewhere else. But the good thing about the program is that's built right in, so that if a customer finds a better deal, they're free to move to another supplier at any time. So that's a little bit what makes the program unique, is that nobody's locked in. As long as you feel this creates value for you, gives you the kind of price you want, you can participate. But if at any point you find something you would prefer to do, you're always free to do that.
So the experience and the fact that a bunch of other communities are already involved in this means that we're not the first ones in. So we're not the scapegoats.
Right.
We're the ones that are sort of following the lead of other communities, but yet we're still leading the pack in many ways, because there's still a lot of communities that haven't done it.
That's right.
And there's also those communities that have their own power companies, that are municipal companies, so they wouldn't be involved in that kind of a program.
Right.
But it still shows that we're trying to lead the way in something that makes sense for our residents, and we're taking advantage of an opportunity that gives a potential savings, or real savings, to the residents themselves. So how can Foxborough residents learn more about the program, Paul?
Well, they'll have a lot of opportunities to do that, a little bit now and then many more as we get closer to the program launch. So in the short term, there'll be information on the town website about the program, and there'll be a discussion about it at an upcoming Board of Selectmen meeting, so customers can learn about it there. And then once we get closer to program launch and the plan has been approved and you have a supply contract in place, we'll have an education campaign for the citizens, and that will have a few pieces to it. The first and most important part is that all eligible customers will get a letter in the mail from the town that explains the program. Then we'll have customer information sessions, several in the community, where people can come and hear a presentation upon the program and get their questions answered. Maybe we'll come back here and we'll do another one of these programs, when we have the more up-to-date information. And there'll be further information on the website, and there'll be also an 800 number that folks can call if they have questions.
That's great. It sounds almost like a foolproof process, and of course, there's always the skeptics out there who will say, well, what is the downside? I can tell you honestly, looking at this, I haven't seen a downside to this. I think there really is. It just provides more options for our residents, provides us with the opportunity to do something that is a positive for our residents, and saves them some money in the process, and doesn't change their service, and gives them an option. So is there anything else that we should add? I know that we're going to be on the agenda for the Selectmen's meeting on the 14th.
Correct.
On June 14th. So if residents have further questions or concerns about it, please tune in at the Selectmen's meeting on June 14th, and we'll provide more information at that meeting. And I'm sure that the Board of Selectmen will ask some questions at that time as well. But actually, there were members of the board who actually thought this was a good opportunity to do something when they first took office, and said that maybe we ought to look into this. And so I know a number of them are very supportive of this program.
Excellent.
So I want to thank you for being here. I hope this has been informative for our public, and hopefully we'll be back here. If there's additional information to provide, we certainly will do that. So
terrific.
Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next time on the Ask Bill Keegan Show.